On the profile interview segment this week, I will be speaking with human resource expert. They will be telling us about the several challenges women are faced with and how it can be tackled. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you very much.
A lot is happening in the workspace, and most especially the month of March. Women are being celebrated all over the world. So precisely, looking at the workspace with your experience as a human resource person, what do you think a woman can do to be more efficient at the workplace?
As we all know, there's this concept of the gap between the male folk and the women folk, and in the workplace that gap, depending on what organization you are in, there's more deliberate attempt to bridge the gap. Now, efficiency for a woman in the workplace means that you turn up to work on time, you're diligent in the work that you're given, you're also productive, you're meeting the hours that you've been assigned to work and all of that, amidst all the other challenges that are sometimes unique to women. So I'll say that from my experience, what will work generally or basically will be that you have a good support system. A good support system in the home front and even in the workspace. And of course, support system ranges from immediate family to extended family, juggling life's demands, being able to manage your home front, your children, schedules, homework, assignments, and all of that. It differs per person, but you have to carve out what works for yourself. So whether you want to pay for, extra services or persons that will help you in the home front, or you want to, they say you borrow, you buy, or you build. You have family members that you can drop children off, you partner with schools. So on the home front, you have that. In the workplace, whether in the organization you work at or externally, you need mentors, you need sponsors. Mentors are persons who can show you the way that you can follow, the path that you want to go on yourself. Sponsors are persons that can speak for you. These sponsors can be female or male, persons that know your worth, persons that you've turned up for, and you've shown that you are able to do the job. So, there's this ideology of work-life balance, and the question around, is it balance or do you juggle? And it is possible to have a fantastic career, to thrive in the workplace and be efficient while you're doing that. But it requires you juggling, it requires you balancing as much as is possible. There are multiple balls and bringing all that in. So I do say that, yes, those are the ways you can attempt to be more efficient as much as is possible. Yes.
There's several challenges an average woman is faced with at the workplace. Also, men do face challenges, but we know that when it comes to issues that affect women, at times we have to pay much more details. One of the challenges or one of the complaints that many women actually have had in recent times is gender pay gap. I'm doing the same work like another man is doing, and what we're earning is quite different. How would you react to this?
So I'm someone who likes data, and statistically in the 80s, the gap was very wide when you think about pay differentials. But in recent times, the gap is thinner. And that can be attributed to some women who have stepped into some particular roles and bridged that gap. And what do we mean? So beyond saying that you're doing the same job and you're not earning the same thing, there's also an aspect where, because women, go to give birth, they're taking time off work, sometimes you miss out on promotions, sometimes you miss out on, a salary increase because you've not done a performance review. So you find out that sometimes the men may have moved farther, someone that you came in with, sometimes it happens. So there are some roles that you have more women, and these are roles that maybe are a bit less technical or less senior as it were. And you find out that the pay element in that category is, of course, not as high as maybe a senior officer within an organization. But I'll say first thing is that the gap is reducing, but for us to, so to speak, close the gap, women also have to take on more challenges. So you see that why the gap also keeps being there could be attributed to educational qualifications, certifications, improving yourself in a particular area so that you are at par when it's a case of looking at credentials, when you're looking at competencies that are required. So first thing is, as an organization, do you have a structure in place to ensure that all roles within your organization have a pay scale attached to it, regardless of whether it's male or female? So that's from the organization perspective, because you find out that what causes the gap sometimes is that this doesn't exist, and it's now a function of how I'm able to negotiate, at the point of interview. So you see, this is an example I like to use most times, where a particular role requires maybe 10 competencies or 10 skills that you must have before you get that role or that position. And you have some men, sometimes maybe they just have about 4 of those skills. They'll go ahead and apply for the position. But sometimes we women, we beat ourselves up a lot, and we may even have 7 of those skills. But you're like, oh, I need to be a perfectionist. It's not 10. And you remove yourself unknowingly out of the race. That's one aspect. So first thing, from organizations, from HR practitioners, from persons who are responsible for hiring, labor leaders.
How do you think human resource persons can help workers have a more comfortable and safe place to work?
It's been in existence for as long as the concept of work has been. And I must state that workplace harassment comes in different formats. So there's physical harassment, there's sexual harassment, which a lot of us talk about. And it's important to note that it's both female and male. So it's not only females that get harassed in the workplace. I think as HR practitioners, we have to lead from the front, also alongside senior management personnel. And how do we do that? By ensuring that we have defined policies that everybody in the organization understands and everybody is aware of. Now, beyond having policies, because it's one thing to have policies, one thing to follow through to the end, is ensuring that it's clear that while these policies exist, you have a proper process to seeing through on every aspect of that policy. Usually why these types of things thrive is that you have leaders who are not walking the talk. You see that your employees trust the system. And of course, trust is not built one day. Trust is built because you've shown me that you are approachable. Somebody used that word recently where it said your leadership style is approachable, where people are comfortable enough to reach out to you. So those are things that lead up to employees being comfortable enough to explain or express themselves when these types of things happen.
Thank you very much for your time. And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember that labor creates wealth.